Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Eat, Drink, Art. It's a podcast series where we interview creative people from Malaysia, Asia, and the world. So in this episode, I'll be speaking to Azlee, the director, and Sheril Bustaman, who is the producer for their documentary film called Jom Kita Ke Laut, Itui Suli-Suli Bajau. Right? So it will be in cinemas starting 2nd July 2026. So let's just dive right in, right? What first made you guys, what first made you feel that the Bajau Laut community and particularly the youth in Omadal Island needed to be seen through a feature documentary?
Okay. Can we say that because we think Pulau Omadal is such a beautiful island and we just want to go there? It is very beautiful though. It is a very beautiful island.
Yes.
But I think this started several years ago when we had made a film it was a film about Sabah, about the Lahad Datu incident, and we were bringing it around Sabah to screen to small communities. And one of the communities was Pulau Omadal, which I didn't go, but Sheril went, and then you were there, right?
Yes, I was there. When I first went to Pulau Omadal, it was
2022?
2022, end of 2022. And I was introduced to Iskul Samadhi Laut, which is an alternative learning center on the island, which provides education to the Bajau Laut settlement community there. So the Bajau Laut settlement community is just off a little bit. It's across basically Pulau Omadal, the main island, which is inhabited by the Bajau people who live there. And there are 3 like kampongs on that island. But it's a very small island,
Very
less
small
than
island.
5 kilometers.
I mean, the
inhabited.
island is kind of big, but the inhabited part is
It's only like-
very small.
Yeah.
Because I like to run, and every day I want to run
Yeah.
5 kilometers. I got to do like 3 rounds.
Oh wow, 5? It can't be that. Oh wow. But is Omadal Island is a kampong, so it's not a tourist area.
No,
No.
not at all. Not at all. Yeah.
When I first went in 2022, there are no hotels, no homestays, nothing. So we actually slept at the school, and that's when I met the students of his school. And I came back and I told Zan that it would be really interesting to try to tell stories from the island. So over the years, we tried to develop a filmmaking workshop for the kids of his school that we then managed to carry out last year. And from that workshop, we chose these 3 junior directors, Bilquin, Shima, and Didi, who are not all Bajau Laut. Only Bilquin is a Bajau Laut, and then there's Shima, and then Didi is Malaysian.
But they're both Bajau, just Bajau Darat, Bajau
Yeah,
Laut, and
yeah.
then
And
mixed.
then
Mixed,
Didi.
yeah.
So we chose the 3
Different
of them.
tribes.
Yeah. So we chose the 3 of them because it was interesting to see how their lives were very different. Because their circumstances are also very different,
Yeah.
and we wanted to showcase how it all kind of intersects together on the island because they all teach at the school. So that was really the kind of motivator to look at this particular island and to look at these particular stories.
I see. So essentially, you guys were running workshops there. You were teaching the students there. How old are they?
We ran a workshop for kids between 11 to 19. It was a filmmaking workshop. We brought in trainers from West Malaysia also.
And Sabah as well.
And Sabah to show them how to make films. The idea was really so that they can tell their own stories and also to create employable skills for them as filmmakers. So now they have a camera that can shoot in 4K. They also know how to edit, do basic editing. So people who want to hire fixers or who need stories from the island itself don't have to send journalists or send their own crew to go there. They can actually go straight to school and hire these young filmmakers for a story package.
Wow. So essentially, Bilquin, Shima, and Didi, they are one of the highlights, right? Because you basically used most of their footage. Is that correct?
Yes.
It's a mixture of our footage and theirs.
Yes.
I wouldn't say that it's mostly their footage. It's balanced lah. It's pretty much of a balance. And I think if you watch the film, you wouldn't know which is theirs and which is ours.
Correct.
which means they're pretty
done a
good,
good job.
right? Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah, so the interesting thing is that you called them for this film, for this documentary film, you called them junior directors. And you said that these are, the footages, a lot of it is from their own lens. And so why was it important for you, for them to tell the story about themselves?
We are from Semenanjung. Kita orang Semenanjung, bah. We cannot tell their
Right.
story.
Right, of course, yes.
It's their story, and I think one of the things that we wanted to do with this project, from the workshop all the way until the film, is to actually kind of like let them tell their own stories, because in this film also, every topic and every issue that was in the film was determined by them. They suggested, they said we want to talk about these kind of issues. They talked about it. We kind of just like facilitated in like how to tell the story in an interesting way only. But everything else was determined by them, lah. So yeah, we wanted that authenticity. I've many years I've been traveling all around places to tell stories and make documentaries. It's a nice adventure and all that, but I'm never from those places, So I don't feel like I have the right to tell their story, lah. Can highlight it. I can highlight their story, but it's their story. It's their story to tell. Yeah.
I'm curious, out of those footages that you got, was there anything that surprised you, or like you would never have chosen it yourself?
We gave them prompts.
Yes.
So we gave them thematic kind of prompts, and they could decide what they wanted to shoot or didn't want to shoot. I don't think it was to say there was anything surprising, but there was definitely a moment where for Bill Quinn, we were talking about shooting based on the theme of hope. So he wanted to shoot a scene of the Bajau Laut people who are homeless and
in town. Yeah.
Who sleep on the streets in town. And we said, okay, if you want to do that, sure, you can go and shoot that. And then he came back from town and he said,
he didn't feel good about it.
I didn't really do what I wanted to do because it didn't feel right. So he reviewed not just the ethics, because we told him like, you have to think about consent and you have to think about whether these people are okay to be shown. So he kind of shot it in a more general way, more anonymous. Because it made him really think about the kind of ethics behind it, and that gave him the agency to decide what he wanted to put in the film and what he didn't want to put in the film.
Yes.
Which was very important to us because we wanted them to take the lead on the narrative. We were really just here to facilitate and help realize the story maybe in a cleaner, more polished way than it could have been done if they had done it on their own. So that moment for me was particularly pertinent lah, because he really took the initiative and he was really empowered to tell us like, yeah, I decided I didn't want to.
And he was like, Abang Zan, kalau Abang Zan macam ini, nak ke muka Abang Zan keluar macam ni? Tak nak kan?
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, oh, you're Bill Quinn.
Yeah, but we didn't ask him to go and shoot it anyway. He was the one who first thought he wanted to shoot it. Then we told him, okay, you need to think about the ethics of it, blah, blah. And then he was the one who kind of went.
He was very passionate about it.
Yeah.
When he discovered that he felt bad about it, he didn't feel comfortable. Not that he felt bad, but he was uncomfortable doing it. He was very passionate lah. He was like,
it was a really big turning point.
It's nice. It's nice. It's in the film.
Yeah,
it's in the film.
I think a lot of the time, these kinds of stories, especially about marginalized communities or communities that you don't really see, tend to be seen from a third-party lens, and in certain situations, it can be exoticized, almost misrepresented, and we really didn't want that in this film. So that's why it was very important for us, for them to determine what they wanted to put in, what they didn't want to put in, and for Bill Quinn to really kind of own that towards the end of our production period was a big turning point for us lah.
Right. And how old is Bill Quinn?
Bill Quinn is now 21.
21.
Yeah.
And he's also a social media star, right?
Yes.
Oh,
He has
yes.
45,000 followers on TikTok.
But that's really amazing that he's only 21 and he's already thinking about sensitivities without being prompted.
Yeah.
And he's having that empathy for his subjects. I think some professionals don't think about that, right? So this is really amazing that he's really done that. I'm also curious about What's the most difficult part about making this documentary? Creatively, emotionally, logistically.
The most stressful part for me was how to tell the story without misrepresenting them. I felt like, oh my God, that one was so stressful because, I wanted it to be we want it to be authentic, right? The story, and it's their story. It's their stories, these three people's stories. And I felt the pressure of what if we construct it in the wrong way? And then people see it in the wrong way and it's misrepresented. And then these kids are not happy with the story. And then the community says that, hey, this is not us. And that was the biggest pressure for me, how to not misrepresent them.
Telling the story as authentically as we could. And then also for me as a producer, I have to kind of thread that fine line between telling as authentic a story as we can, but also trying our best not to step on anybody's toes, in the many stakeholders that we have here. So the kids, the junior directors were the first to review this film. We went through 16 different versions of edits just to make sure that the film could be delivered as authentically as possible. We put together the first cut based on what they had shot, the interviews that we had, and then Zan kind of put together a linear narrative. And then we presented it to them first, the junior directors. And then from there, they said, oh, we don't like this part. We want to take out this part. We need to mute this part. And then after that, we showed it to other friends in the industry to also get their opinion on whether this was how did they make them feel? Did they feel like this was very exotic? Did it feel authentic to them?
Was there a proper
does the
storyline?
story feel like it's getting across? And then we also did several preview sessions with other people before we finalized the film. Yeah.
So essentially, it sounds like you got these youths to make this film, but essentially they are representatives of the Omadal Island community, and they were the gatekeepers of what's the story we want to tell, how we want to be framed. Ultimately, it was like that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
I'm curious. Is this the normal practice in documentary making?
It's a practice that we want to make a standard lah.
Yeah.
Because I think in the last 6 to 8 years, a lot of the documentaries that we've been making has been like that, where we engage with locals and then they tell their stories. Or if they can't tell their stories, we train them on how to tell the stories. So it's an extension of something that we've always wanted to do. Try to create communities that can tell their own stories.
Yeah, just to cut out the middleman of, because these stories are so rare. Like stories, not just on Omadal Island, but even in Malaysia. If you ask what is a Malaysian story, what are the Malaysian stories that are out there, you commonly see stories that are from urban cities, or set in urban cities at least. And the themes tend to kind of be the same, but they're not really specific to a certain area, a certain culture. There might be one or two, but it's definitely in the minority, right? So what we're trying to do with this documentary is also for more stories like that to come out. So like Omadal is an island that's off the coast of Semporna, which is 45 minutes if you take a direct speedboat, but almost 2 to 3 hours if you take the local way to go to the island.
The public transportation that's available.
So a lot of people would not be able to point it out on the map. And even now when we're trying to tell people where it is, we always have to say like, oh, it's kind of like in between Semporna and Mabul. And then also they can't really like envision where it is. So for a story, for the three directors to come up with a story, not necessarily representing what the community there is, but at least showcasing their life there and showcasing what life is like on the island that's so far removed from a main city, is already kind of an achievement, just to show people, that there are different facets of Malaysia to be discovered and different issues to be talked about also.
Definitely. And like you said, it's between two tourist places, right? Semporna and Mabul. Both are very famous for tourism. And Omadal is right smack somewhere in between.
Yeah.
And it's So I think this is the part where, when I was watching the film, I also was wondering, it's, of course, the issue touches on statelessness, but maybe could you articulate it for us what exactly the problem is, like especially with Bill Quinn and Shima and Didi, like what are they actually facing?
Well, we know that most of the Bajau Laut community, there are a lot of them are stateless, even though they've been living in Malaysia for a very long time. They are indigenous here, but we have issues of statelessness among many of them, and it's because of many reasons. Some political, some not so political, some more operational, some more just like access, right? And yes, it is one of the issues that we want to talk about in the film. But we actually, I think in the film we don't like directly
No. Yes.
address the issue, because I think one of the main objectives of the film is also to show how human they are. How human they are, because Bill Quinn, Shima, and Didi, all three have different situations when it comes to their documentation. Didi is the one that is clear Malaysian, right? Both parents are Malaysian. She's got an IC. She's got a birth certificate. She went to school. She can further her studies and things like that. Shima is half, right? She's got a birth certificate but no IC. Bill Quinn is totally undocumented, right? So they all have different situations. But we don't harp on it much because we show how they live together, how they come together, how harmonious they are together. But through the challenges that they face in the film, you see the challenges that they face, like education and healthcare and things like that. You realize it, right?
Yeah, we didn't want it to be a poverty porn kind of documentary, and we didn't want it to be one of these like sob story kind of situations. We really wanted to show youth empowerment in really extreme situations lah. So even in this, like, even though like for Didi, for example, yes, she's got documents, yes, she has options, but she also faces the challenge of
Correct.
like she's I think the eldest eldest in her family. She has siblings under her. There are things that she needs to think about also lah before like just furthering her studies.
And there's also income,
Yeah,
whether they can
correct.
afford to study,
Exactly.
and whether they can afford to even leave the island,
Yeah. And then Shima has her own kind of challenges, and then there's also Bill Quinn that also has those kind of challenges as well. I think the big misconception when people see that it's a film that talks about the Bajau Laut is that they think everyone on the island is stateless and it's just an island of stateless people, but that's not even
That's not true, yeah.
accurate, because everyone on the island is Malaysian, and the Bajau Laut settlement just happens to be literally a small distance in front of the island where all the Bajau Laut people live. Another misconception that we wanted to correct was that a lot of the time people think, oh, if it's the Sabah stateless people, they must all be Filipino. So during one of our screenings also, someone had said, oh, but if they're all Filipinos, then what's the problem? There is actually no issue to be discussed. But the thing is, like Zan mentioned earlier, statelessness happens for a multitude of reasons. So in this specific context, most of these Bajau Laut are nomads. So their ancestors were actually nomadic people that lived on boats. And then eventually they settled along the coast of Indonesia, Philippines, and Malaysia, which is here in Omadal. And the lack of access to education, to exposure to documentation, is what has hindered them from registering marriages, registering births, which has stopped them from being able to apply for citizenship or becoming Malaysian for generations, which is what this new generation, Bill Quinn's generation, who now is equipped with some education, basic education at least, is trying to undo or kind of push back against lah. Yeah. So that was really what we wanted to show, like what the youth on the island is doing with their circumstances and how they are kind of thriving and also trying to improve from it.
You guys definitely did that with the movie. I mean, it's very youth-centric. It's also quite light-hearted. And although we're dealing with very difficult issues, complex issues, I think you really brought out the humanity that all the youth and the people who are there, you definitely see them and it feels like they could be your neighbor or somebody that you definitely know. I also wonder, after watching the film, right, what kind of conversations you hope Malaysian audiences will start to have, after understanding more about this Bajau Laut and statelessness in communities.
I don't think, like me personally, I don't think there's any specific conversation I want them to have. I just want there to be a conversation. You know what I mean? For a lot of people, how do I say this? Like between us, right? You, me, Sheril, we know about the issues. We've heard about it. We've read about it. But you'd be surprised to know that most of Malaysia don't know these issues. They're not aware of these things happening. In fact, some people even in Sabah don't really understand what's happening
Sabah is
with
such
the
a
Bajau
big
Laut. Yeah, because Sabah
state.
is so huge,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So I think it's just to have a conversation. If conversation starts picking up because of this, I'll be very happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, the film really is, it's meant to, one of the feedbacks that we got also from a lot of the screenings was that, there wasn't enough. There wasn't enough of the Bajau Laut. These are the things I would have liked to see from the film, which is great. But we only have so many minutes, and there's only so much we can put into a film. So if this film can at least serve as an introduction to show Malaysians that this community exists and these people are out there and these are the challenges they face, and it propels them to go find out on their own more about the Bajau Laut, more about the issues, more about his school if they want to go help, where Pulau Omadal is, that would be enough already lah.
Yeah.
I guess that's why also you guys pushed to have the film screened nationwide, right? Under the Skim Wajib Tayang. And it actually faced some hurdles. Could you maybe walk us through what actually happened and how you finally got over it?
Well, we wanted to apply for Wajib Tayang, right? And we did apply, but I think initially it was rejected because the reasoning was that they didn't see documentary as a film, right? But of course we continued to have that conversation with them, and we spoke to a lot of different stakeholders, from FINAS to people in the Ministry of Communication and things like that, trying to explain why it should be considered a valid film, right? And after 6 months, I think.
No lah, about 3
to 4 months. Review after review, I think there were like 2 or 3 reviews. Eventually, they did decide to give us Wajib Tayang lah, which we are very thankful.
So we don't have a nationwide release.
Yes.
We did ask for 28 screens, so that there will be screens all around the nation. We in the end only got 10. So there are 2 screens in the Klang Valley. One in TGV 1 Utama and one in GSC Mid Valley, and we decided to allocate the other 8 screens just to Sabah, to different parts in Sabah, so that more Sabahan people can watch it.
Yeah.
I see.
So it's actually, can I say that it's actually the first Malaysian documentary to be approved for Skim Wajib Tayang. So
yes, this was I was gonna ask, because like you said, they didn't consider documentaries a film, and but lately I've noticed a lot of filmmakers are doing documentaries, but I actually, it's true, I haven't seen any like in the cinema, and you guys are the first documentary.
We're the first to be approved for Wajib Tayang, but there have been documentaries, like for example, M for Malaysia. But I don't think that was in the cinemas. There was another documentary,
Story of Tasian.
Story of Tasians, directed by a friend of ours, Mark Lee.
Which did receive Wajib Tayang.
Receive Wajib Tayang, yeah, correct.
But they said it wasn't considered a documentary because it had a lot of reenactments.
Yeah.
I see.
Like a pure non-fiction documentary that has been got there. And I think I understand that the ministry and also FINAS is now going to diversify and actually make it the definition of what a film is, which will include documentaries after this.
Yeah. And other genres also.
For audiences who actually don't know what this Skim Wajib Tayang is and how it works, maybe you can tell us why this policy is important for Malaysian films, especially documentaries and maybe smaller independent productions.
I think a lot of countries have this Wajib Tayang thing, right? Like Korea,
But
Singapore, and Indonesia,
so
and all
it's
that.
basically a compulsory screening
Yeah.
scheme that is supposed to keep a local film that has Skim Wajib Tayang in the cinemas for at least 2 weeks. So basically, your cinemas cannot.
They're obliged to
they're
show it lah.
obliged to show it for
Yeah.
2 weeks. But there is a clause within the Skim Wajib Tayang approval that says that if you cannot show a 15% attendance within the first 3 days,
4 days, yeah.
3 days,
Okay.
the first 3 days, then the cinemas are, it's subject to the cinemas discretion whether they want to pull your film out of the cinema or not. So for example, right now as we're recording this, there was a film that was released in the early parts of June, Kata Hati by Nadia Hamza, that also I think had Skim Wajib Tayang, but the screenings were severely reduced because
After the first week,
after the first week. So now, right now, it's only playing in one cinema in Malawati and only one screening.
Yeah.
I see. I'm
But the
curious.
cinema has more things as well. They have like tax rebates and all that,
Yeah.
which is supposed to kind of like encourage
Helps
the local
spur
industry.
the
lah.
economy,
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna ask. In terms of cost, right? So the cost is borne by the cinemas when through this scheme Wajib Tayang, or is it, how does it work?
It's borne by us.
It's borne- so you have to pay to be screened
we
in
don't
cinemas.
pay to the cinemas, of course.
Yeah.
We don't
We
pay to the
just-
cinemas, but we do need to pay for like the DCP transfer so that they can screen it in the cinemas. We've got to pay for the posters. We've got to
Market
pay
it,
for, we've got to market it, and then to get the film in the cinema. We are also new, and we are also learning as we're going along, right? We learned that we have to apply for like LPF censorship, and there's a fee there. And then once you get the number of cinemas where you get the screen, you have to apply for the certificates for every cinema that's being shown.
Yeah.
So there
And
is
that's
a
also
bit of a
payment.
cost, yeah.
And then all your promotional materials also have to be approved by LPF. So you have to send that in, trailers, posters. For a company that is literally so small, it's just two of us. We're very grateful for the help of our distributor, Kuman Pictures, who's helping us liaise with the cinemas because they have
Kind of teaching us also lah, because we've never done it before.
But also we have no big marketing arm. We have our distribution arm is basically Kuman, who's helping us talk to the cinemas. But that's also not a huge, company with like an entire department that they can dedicate to us. So everything has been very, very shoestring.
we ate Agent Ali lah, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But Agent Ali's director is a friend, and he was one of the people that reviewed our film and gave feedback. So yes, thank you, Osama Zaid. Yes.
Right. So then the incentive to allow smaller films to continue playing, right, regardless of the audience attendance, that falls where? Why are they incentivized to sort of say, okay, we don't want to screen your film anymore?
The cinemas are looking at it from a business perspective. So that's why I think the 15% attendance clause, which is why a lot of Malaysian filmmakers are always saying this in every interview, that the first 3 days are the most important days to go catch the film. So if you say to a Malaysian filmmaker, oh, congratulations, your film, I can't wait to go see it, and then you don't go watch it within
in the first 3 days, no point.
it's very hard because you're probably not going to be able to catch it, because they will say the data is there that no one wants to watch your film, but actually that's not true. It's just that there hasn't been enough time for the film to pick up. This is Malaysia lah. Everybody is labat sikit. You cannot expect everybody to go in the first 3 days.
And I mean, Wajib Tayang is supposed to do that. It's supposed to help the films that are not as marketable, or maybe not as mainstream as
So it's supposed to be there the 2 weeks accessible. But because of this clause, a lot of the time it doesn't happen that way lah. So like say in the first 3 days, there are 4 screenings in all 10 cinemas. By the third day, if they see, okay, actually it's not really doing so well, it can already drop to like maybe just 2 screens on the 4th, 5th, 6th day. And then maybe in the next week, it doesn't even show anymore, or it just shows in one cinema. And then they write out the 2 weeks on that one cinema, one screening. And the screening could be like a weird time, like 11, 10 a.m. And then the data will show, obviously, that nobody is going to watch it at 11, 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, right? But then they will use that data to say, oh, see, your film is not marketable. And then they pull it out. Yeah.
Right. So the commercial aspects of a film is still very important before when it is being screened in cinemas, especially.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it's understandable, they're all
Yeah,
business.
it is still a
It's
business
all
in the end,
businesses,
yeah.
But I think it's okay, and I'm very grounded by reality that, I mean, really, what is the culture in Malaysia when it comes to watching documentaries in the cinema? It's basically non-existent, and I don't mind being the first. I don't mind. I mean, look, if we can create a bit of awareness, we create a bit of awareness for the Bajau Laut, we create a bit of awareness for the issues, we create awareness for cinema, we create awareness for like documentaries. Alah, boleh lah. you know.
Right. It's very interesting because the way you guys filmed this was also that you got the junior directors. So that's heavily led by the junior directors to tell their story, right? And that in itself sounds like a new way, I guess, of doing documentaries, right? Because most documentary makers have their own way of telling stories, and they're very, I guess, director heavy. But this time, Zan has just like given freedom to 3 other junior directors to take the lead, that kind of thing. So that's one thing. And the second thing is these kind of films not necessarily commercial, kan?
Not commercial
So
at all.
it's more about bringing awareness, and as you said, we may not know what Malaysian appetite is for these kinds of films yet, because you guys are so new, right? It's rather niche and new. So right now in the current screenings, in the current system for screening, right? Do you think it gives enough room for these type of films?
I think it's a chicken and egg situation, catch-22 kind of situation. We want the audience to appreciate all kinds of films. But in order for the audience to be able to learn to appreciate these kind of films, there needs to be exposure to these kind of films. These films needs to also be available. So it's around chicken and egg kind of thing. When we made this film, it's not like we had the idea like, oh, this is a non-commercial film, so it's going to be draggy, it's going to be boring, nobody's going to want to watch it. We tried to make it as entertaining as possible. We tried to have heartwarming scenes. We tried to have like funny scenes so people can laugh. We really, really want to make it accessible. Really, really want to make it mainstream and entertaining lah. But again, if the audience is not used to watching, say, non-fiction films, right? They hear something like this, that's it's non-fiction. I don't know if they are actually, if they're walking by Mid Valley at GSC, oh, Jom Kita Ke Laut. Oh, it's a documentary. I shall go buy a ticket now. I don't think that's going to happen, because they will look at, oh my God, Ipin, let's go. or police evil, yeah. So I don't have a solution for that. I don't know what I can say. I do want the opportunity to have these kind of films out there. How it happens,
There could
Wajib
be,
Tayang can help.
maybe there could be more incentives, not just for people to make these films, but more people to watch it
these
as
films,
well.
yeah.
Which is why we're relying very heavily on word of mouth of the people who have seen it, and hopefully also the support of people who will bring different audiences to go watch it in the first 2 days.
Yeah. And I'm pretty excited, or I guess encouraged by the fact that, because when we made the film, we called a lot of people from the industry to watch it and tell us what they think. And we called people from broad diverse areas lah, from mainstream films to indie films to non-fiction journalism, people from that industry as well, and they all watched it. And I mean, they all seem to be very supportive of our film, and they are very encouraging. So if people from all these diverse backgrounds all can see that, they have that appreciation, maybe the audience, the audience can appreciate too. Yeah.
I see. So it comes back down to audience, essentially.
I don't blame the audience. I don't want to blame the audience either, because if they don't have the opportunity, how will they know? You know what I mean?
So there needs to be incentives on all sides.
Yes,
I think
correct.
that's all we can agree on. The
So
audience,
Yeah. So yes. So you were saying that. So apart from the cinemas nationwide, not nationwide, 10 cinemas in Malaysia, right? Apart from cinemas, are you guys planning to have this documentary film on any OTT platform or anything like that?
Yes, I think that's in the works. We have been discussing with Kuman and all that, and Kuman has also given advice of where we can approach, who we can approach, and all that. So we are trying. We don't know what the chances are like, but we are trying.
We definitely don't want the cinema to be the end of the road.
Yes,
for
we
the
want it to be
documentary
seen.
lah. So we would like to bring it to different places also.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm asking also because it feels like we are in a very transitional stage in filmmaking as well, cinemas as well. Not many people are going to cinemas anymore as well. So everything is just evolving. And I'm just wondering, as filmmakers and producers, ultimately, after making a film, like, do you guys envision an end goal?
Usually for us in Fabulin specifically, we've always made films that are meant to be seen by communities. So for the past 6 to 8 years, our films, whatever the themes have always been community forward first. So we've always tried to incorporate a screening tour for the films that we've done. And this is the first film that we're really putting into the cinema with the encouragement of Kuman as our distributor as well. So this also is no different. It's still a community forward film. So we would like this film to be seen by more communities around Malaysia or beyond. But other different filmmakers in Malaysia have different goals. That's why there are filmmakers who make films specifically for festivals. There are filmmakers who make films specifically for cinema. And yes, you're right. A lot of people in this current economy right now, it isn't as easy to bring like a family of 5, for example, out to the movies as it was before.
So they will really choose a film
So
they
that's
want to
why
watch.
it's very selective
Yeah.
as to what they would choose to see, and that's also why ironically, big blockbuster films with celebrities will still do better than smaller films, because you need to be really careful with what you do with your money, right? But for us, the goal is still that lah. We'll just still try to get more collaborators to screen this film in different places for different communities to watch and continue the conversation.
Right. Private collaborators to screen it everywhere. So not just in cinemas, essentially.
Yes.
Right. So like you said, you also mentioned that Finas was going to tweak their Skim Wajib Tayang to include documentaries, right? Do you have any suggestions for this policy to be more improved, maybe in the policy or implementation?
I think one of the suggestions that I will make is to relook at the intention of Skim Wajib Tayang. Skim Wajib Tayang is supposed to help the industry, is to help make the film industry more prominent, more visible, and have more films being produced. So I think it's important that if they realize that intention, then they can help the films that don't have the capability to help themselves. Because that's what Skim Wajib Tayang, I mean, in my understanding, that's what it should be. A film that has the backing of like big distribution arms and marketing budgets and all that. I mean, they're going to do well with or without Skim Wajib Tayang. Yeah, I mean, they have the reach. So I think maybe that's one thing that they need to look back on lah. And then second thing is the diversity of what the definition of films are.
Yeah, but the entire culture needs to kind of shift also, because if Skim Wajib Tayang cannot exist without the cooperation of the cinemas, and the cinemas are run as a business first. So that culture also needs to shift towards being a little bit more encouraging to filmmakers, being more friendly towards non-mainstream films, in order for them to be able to balance this out lah, and to really carry out Skim Wajib Tayang effectively lah. Because if it's just business first, for sure you're not going to make money off Jom Kita Ke Laut, but you can offset that with whatever money you make from Agent Ali, for example. So this is also the kind of consideration that needs to be taken, maybe, in order for more of these films to really stand a fair chance of viewership. Not about profit, but just viewership in general.
And then later on will be profit lah.
Yeah.
I mean,
because it needs to build from somewhere.
Yes.
Right now, it's the disparity is too wide. You are either Agent Ali, which is going to make 60 million, sorry, or if you are Jom Kita Ke Laut, that might not even make the bottom 10 of
Yeah.
years. at
Maybe
cinemas. Yeah.
maybe Finas can be more aggressive and more with Skim Wajib Tayang.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, look at Korea. Korea did that, right?
Mm.
And now they're making money. Maybe when they first initiated all their programs and schemes and all that, they were not making money. But now look at Korean pop culture.
Correct.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
They stuck
So
with
we
it
need
and they
to-
were really
we need to
adamant at
close the
doing it.
gap
Yeah.
first lah.
It's like sort of investing in this idea and this culture and building it instead of like expecting the profit to materialize immediately,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? Do you guys think Malaysia risks losing anything if, documentaries and community-led films struggle to reach cinema audiences?
I think it's these kind of films struggle everywhere. But
I don't think there will be a loss of community-led films because there are so many different communities making so many different films. But whether or not Malaysia as a whole gets to view them, that is where the loss will be lah.
yeah, and maybe Malaysian society realizing so many stories exist, stories that they didn't know exist. And I think it's richer for society to understand themselves more when they see all these stories about themselves, about their region, about their country that they've never seen or heard before.
Yeah.
It makes them understand themselves better and it enriches them. Yeah.
Yeah. The biggest gripe about any kind of material about Malaysia is always why we always play like a race card or we always show unity as only 3 races. But we actually also don't look beyond any of that geographically to see the different kind of communities that we have beyond what is around us. Like you can speak to most of the people in urban areas, especially in KL or Klang Valley, and ask them how many of them have been to Kelantan, even not even Sabah, but maybe just Kelantan. And most of them will tell you they've never been because they think Kelantan is very staunch area,
Backwaters,
always got flood, no proper water supply.
But if you go, you realize no,
but that is not the case,
it's
right?
not the case.
But how will they know if they don't watch a Kelantanese film or if they don't watch a documentary about Kelantan or from Kelantan? So it will be more of a cultural loss of Malaysia being more divided because these community films is what is really going to bring us together lah, as a nation, because it will definitely foster more of understanding of the people that might not live right next door to us, but definitely live among us.
For sure, that's very beautifully said. I think you're absolutely correct. We market ourselves as a diverse country, right? We are diversity, but we never go very far beyond the 3 majority communities, majority racial groups, right? And so we don't know the stories, and even within these stories, we tend to lean very heavily on stereotypes, lah. And I guess in that sense,
to a certain script, yeah.
Yes, right. So I think we're coming to the last question right now, which is so after everything that it took to make and screen Jom Kita Ke Laut, what would make you feel that this film has achieved what it set out to do?
If people go and watch it, yeah. I think for me as the producer, I would just be really pleased to see that people are going to watch it. They don't necessarily have to be full halls, but it would be good just to see that people are organically going to see it, and they don't necessarily have to say good things about it. We review films all the time, and we understand that when you put something out there, it's out there. So whatever people's opinions of it are valid. You have to just take it as it comes. But it would be good to hear what people would have to say. That's for me lah.
Yeah, I don't care what people say. I am very happy to see the film has given confidence to people like Bill Queen, Shima, Didi, and all that. They are so confident now, now like even if they get like approached by media for interviews and all that, they already start thinking they're so savvy already. They know what they want to say, they know how they want to represent their community, something like that. And they constantly want to better themselves, so that is something that makes me so how do you say, I want to say happy, yes, happy, but like That's it
Proud
lah.
lah.
27 years I've been working, right? Oh, so nice lah. You know what I mean? When you do something like this, I hope that they are pleased with the film, the three of them. For me, that is the most important thing. But you know, yes, I do want people to watch it. Honestly, yes, I do want people to go and watch the film. And if there is conversation around the issues lah, then that would be really nice lah. Whether the conversation is, you know, however the conversation is like, I don't really, it doesn't matter at this moment, as long as there is some conversation. Yeah.
Right. And the next, basically the 3 days starting 2nd July is the most important, right? And it's at One Utama as well as GSC Mid Valley in Peninsula Malaysia. Those are the two cinemas that's going to screen this documentary. So then starting 2nd July, everybody should go watch it. And in Sabah, is in Tawau, is it? Is it right?
Yeah, 8 cinemas around
which is
Sabah.
in Kota
Then we can send you a full list.
Kota Kinabalu, Tawau, Sandakan, Kota Marudu, Lahad Datu. Yeah, 8 cinemas there. Yeah.
Okay, great, awesome. And I really truly hope that a lot of people watch this show. I really hope you guys get full houses all 3 days and even beyond. It was really good to watch the documentary that you guys launched. Being at the launch especially. So we've come to this end of the session. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us and wishing you all the best, and hope to see more of Bill Quinn and Shima and Didi maybe sometime in the future.
Thank you for having us.